Interesting. Hobbit movies do not follow the books properly. Hold on. You kill this guy.
I thought the 3 Lord of the Rings ones are fucking fantastic.
Well, also, you have to remember, when the Lord of the Rings ones came out, that was like the height of movie making. You know, like it was the best quality of everything.
Yeah.
And the Hobbit movies are newer in quality with more different technology available to make them. Kind of like with Star Wars. So, like, essentially, it's someone watching all the Star Wars for the first time and being like, oh, I like the new ones better. And everyone being like, what? It's the exact same thing. But also worse because the Hobbit movies didn't follow the book.
Yeah, and like I guess the first 2 were semi-slow, but it was a lot of like story and character building and stuff like
But
that.
that's what the Hobbit is. So that's a given. But to be fair, the Lord of the Rings movies.
The Lord of the Rings ones, right?
Oh, is that what you're talking about? That might. Oh, okay. Also, the Lord of the Rings movies technically did not follow the books properly either, but they followed better. It wasn't as outrageous dismantling of the story. Hobbit movies more because they had more action compared to the but the other thing also is the Lord of the Rings movies. It needed all that time to create the world, you know, and give you setting for the stories themselves. Because, again, this is a world that has not been encountered before. But, so, like, it's all very new, this sort of fantasy thing.
I mean, that is a good point, though. Because, like, with the Hobbit movies, they were allowed to just go in because everyone kind of had at least a general idea. Even if you hadn't seen the Lord of the Rings movies, you had some sort of idea of at least what Middle-earth was, you know? Yeah, that's a good point.
Loved all of the doors. I love the doors. Thorin, oh my god, Richard Armitage. He is fantastic in absolutely everything he's in. He's one of my favorite actors. Him as Thorin was a godlike decision. That was fabulous. They could not have cast that better. But, like, there were scenes that just didn't fucking happen. Like, that whole dwarves go to the water park down the fucking...
Oh, that was funny. that was ridiculous.
Down the river in their barrels. No. It didn't happen like that. There wasn't a battle happening then. They were all shoved inside the goddamn barrels, getting seasick as fuck and waterlogged. And Bilbo was the only one not stuffed in a barrel, closed. And they, like, almost died just from being in the fucking barrels down the river. Like, oh no, we're going to battle all of the everything as we're going down this river with a fancy fight scene. No.
Yeah,
Didn't fucking happen.
It's like barrel parkour, which is just ridiculous. Like,
that part was amazing. Okay. It was false. None of it happened. Yeah, they left out just some good shit. Beorn was this fucking shape-shifting motherfucker who was part man, part bear. And, like, they went and stayed at his fucking house, but he hated dwarves, so, like, Gandalf had to, like, distract him with stories as all of the dwarves are coming up so that he wouldn't get pissed off at dwarves being in his fucking house. And so, like, they're coming up 2 by 2, and then Gandalf's, like, interrupting them, but he's trying to tell a story so intricately that Beorn wants to listen to the story, and so he's just, like, doesn't even give a shit about all the dwarves coming into his house. And it's fucking wonderful. I love Radagast. Radagast is wonderful. But yeah, Beorn actually comes and fights in the Battle of Five Armies at the end because he was so moved by the dwarves and their story and everything. And he's a dude that fucking keeps to himself. He's the last shapeshifter. I keep using the word shapeshifter. It's not the proper term that they use in the book, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. But he's the last of his kind. And he protects his lands in the shape of a bear. He's fucking great. I am talking about the bear guy, yeah. But they barely went into his house. Like, his house is one of the fucking coolest places in the book. And they're just like...
Barely.
They're just like, oh, well. And they're just like, oh, yes, we went here and met Bear Man, and that was it. No. That's not how that happened. They spent, like, want to say, like, a month with him. Elf Lady, correct. The Elf Lady was not in the books. I didn't mind that little add-in as much. But for the like strict people with the story, a love story between an elf and a fucking dwarf, absolutely absurdly ridiculous. This is not even remotely, would never happen.
It also seems super fucking forced, too.
Oh yeah, it was very forced, for sure. But, like, there were so many other things that I was just so much more angry about. Like, yeah, Smaug was excellent. Also Benedict Cumberbatch. So the fact that they had Martin Freeman and Benedict Cumberbatch together as Smaug and Bilbo was brilliant because Sherlock and Watson. That I loved. The choice of Martin Freeman for Bilbo, brilliant. Absolutely wonderful casting. The casting, I think they did an excellent job with. I just don't appreciate that they fucked with the story that hard. Like, I understand needing to make some changes, but, like, that much? I was pissed. Obviously. Still fuming about it, and how many years ago was did this movie come out? But don't even get me started on Ender's Game, because I could go on about that movie too. Lord have mercy. Why they even made that a movie in the first place,
So we watched all the regular extended versions of The Lord of the Rings, and they were pretty fucking awesome. And then they came to a theater, the Hobbit movies did, and then Christy was like, we can go so you can, like, witness this. But, like, the whole fucking time she was, like, doing that tirade that she just did. And, it was pretty funny.
Part of the thing of the Lord of the Rings movies for me is the storytelling aspect and how well they transport you into the setting of the story. And so all of that background, like setting and whatnot, I value it a lot because that is kind of the vessel that transports me into the story. And if you're looking at it for like, oh, I want to be entertained and amazed by the plot, like, that's certainly there, like you said, much better in the third movie. But if you're looking to, like, fully immerse yourself into a world, I think they do an excellent job of that. And that's why the first two movies are so slow, is because they're taking their time to, like, move you, you know, if that makes sense. And it's definitely not something you want to watch when you're tired, because it's not going to keep, like, things happening super all the fucking time, you know. I threw that game super hard because I was ranting the whole time. Legolas was an ass in the Hobbit movies. Legolas was not in the Hobbit book. Also, Aragorn was not in the Hobbit book. They asked Viggo Mortensen if he would play Aragorn in the Hobbit movies. And do you know what this fabulous man said? He said, no, I will not play Aragorn in the Hobbit movies because he was not in the fucking book. He declined being able to reprise that role because of the fact that Aragorn was not in the book. That made me love him so much more. Who was here? Oh. Raven. Strider?
Aragorn was the king.
He's only the return of the king. He's the king that's returning there, Raven, in the movie you liked. Oh, he was 87 when the Lord of the Rings took place. The character was.
Yeah, if you didn't watch the extended version, there's a scene that they deleted where he and the lady that was like in love with him. Yeah. They talked about how old he was. Because he's like part elf, right?
No, because he's part of the Dunedain.
Oh, that's what it was, yeah. What the fuck is a Dunedain?
Raven, am I gonna have to just like break down all of Lord of the Rings lore for you? And explain bit by bit? You're generally interested after watching all of it. Alright, Raven, hold on. Wait, give me a second. Shaping of Middle-earth. Blaze of Beleriand. Book of Lost Tales 1. Book of Lost Tales 2. The Lost Road and Other Writings. Tree and Leaf. Morgoths of Hand. Adventures of Bombadil. And then I've got like 3 different printed versions of the actual books. So this is all just so there's the Lord of the Rings books. I don't think I even have all of them, but I have the majority of them. These are all just Lord of the Rings background. This is all about Middle-earth. Stories of Middle-earth. Yeah, so there's a lot of Middle-earth lore. I haven't finished all of them. I've read a bunch of it.
You're gonna have to give me a list of books that I need to get for Lord of the Rings.
Okay, sounds good. I would definitely recommend reading through the main books first, and then if you're interested in learning more about the world that Tolkien created, then you can kind of dive into the rest of it. Also, there was a movie created 2 or 3 years ago called Tolkien, and it's about his life and kind of where his inspiration, it's about like his life and him discovering that he's a writer and coming up with his idea to create essentially his entire own world for all of his writings to live in, and creating his own language and whatnot. And it's fantastic. They did an excellent job with it. Why are you staring at me, Maya? See Mom go off the handle?
Busy watching Mom nerd out.
Yeah.